one of the things, I was in Italy for a while, and I was sent over there to do a drug operation. It was supposed, they were transporting drugs from Italy to various places around Europe and things like that. So I was sitting in, and it ended up being one of the biggest busts that we ever had in the history of the military at that time. There was 80 people busted and tens of millions of dollars. I was brought in. It was a Navy operation, but the Navy had kind of been compromised, so they brought us Air Force guys in and kind of help fix this thing. So I had a Navy contact, as a matter of fact. He was NCIS. I think this guy was compromised. Now there was a gang of folks. They had a gang over there that was doing the drug transportation. They're all military, but it was run by Africans who were actually run by Italians. And these guys were police and politicians in Italy. So nobody knew I was there except certain people in the country, which was kind of tough. And I'll tell you why in just a second. But during that time, they had, I was able to, here's how I was able to penetrate the group quickly. They said 6 of us over there as undercover agents. I was able to penetrate the group very fast. And here's the reason. The guy who's the leader of this gang of dudes was from Chicago. So I'm from Chicago. He's from Chicago. We hit it off real quick. Oh, Derek's my dude. He's introduced me to everybody, brought me into the fold. And right away, I was able to start transporting drugs. But during that undercover time, I had another guy with me I had to send home because he almost got us busted over there. Because when he was drunk, he would say too many things. And he started saying things. I'm going to just tell you what he said. We'd be out at night and he'd be like, I'm a motherfucking, I'm a motherfucking OSI agent, things like that. I had to send him home. He's a good friend of mine, but he's going to get us killed because we saw people get killed while we were there. I ended up going back after this was over for a couple murder investigations because we had to watch. Let me tell you about one of them. I was up on a roof party with these guys, and there was a Marine up there mouthing off to these guys, and there's about 25 of them, a couple Marines. They grabbed this Marine, and they were hanging him off the roof. It was about 2 floors up. And my buddy and me had guns. And he said, Derek, we got to do something. We can't watch a murder take place and we not do something. His name was Eric. I said, Eric, it's just you and I and about 25 of these guys with guns. And if you and I interfere, we'll be next over that roof. So we had to stand by and watch while they threw this guy off the roof, threw this guy, Marine off the roof. And, and I had to come back and testify later on, but I had to keep my cover, had to stay on the cover because this went on for a couple months with me transporting drugs and things like that. And let me tell you how scary that was. I would go through here's why they chose military people to do this. Because if we went through the Italian airport, they would not check us. If we had a military ID, they'd let us go through without checking us at all. So I'll get to that in just a second. Also, military people were selling their IDs. You can buy a military ID card for $5,000. So of course, a lot of military folks were losing ID cards because they were really selling them to those folks. And then the Africans would use them and say, hey, we're military, and it goes through transporting drugs. So I was brought into this club in Italy, and I was introduced to this woman who was leading the whole operation. It was a woman, an African woman. And she was kind of iffy at the time, but this guy said, hey, this is my boy from Chicago. You can trust him, all this kind of stuff. So they had me running operations. I was flying. Here's how it would work. I would come in, they would give me a bag of a backpack full of cocaine, and they give me a camera case full of money. I would go to the airport, which scared the hell out of me because they have machine guns and dogs going through the airport. And they'll walk by, and I have all this cocaine on my back and everything. And these dogs are walking by me. I'm scared shitless that one of them is going to light on me. I think that these dogs were more for attack and not for drugs because they never got me. And if they got me, nobody knew I was undercover except a couple of people. So I would have gone down with them. But anyway, I would fly into Turkey, get off the plane. I would hand it, and by the way, then the guy would hand me a backpack just like mine with 200,000 cash in or more. And then I'll put that on, get right back on the plane, and I'll fly back home. And the way we found out is that these guys military guys were getting paid $40,000 a trip to go take these drugs over. So they would pay me that kind of money to go over. And believe me, I'm from the South Side of Chicago.
Hey gang, quick announcement. I've got some ultra brutal fight-ending moves that I'm not able to share with you here on the YouTube platform. They're too ugly, too vicious, and quite honestly, too lethal. YouTube simply doesn't want this kind of material on their site. I can't blame them. This stuff is pretty rough, but when the shit hits the fan and your life is on the line, you're gonna need something truly nasty to end a fight in just a matter of seconds. This lethal training is yours for free. Just get to the description below and click on the link. You don't need a code for this. Just click on the link in the description below to get your free video right now.
You know what? You might be able to take a couple of these runs and disappear. Matter of fact, one person I went to her room, I felt sorry for. It was a young lady had a child. I went to her room and I lifted her mattress. There was over $200,000 underneath her mattress from her doing drug runs. If they would have stopped, they would have gotten away with this. And matter of fact, that's how it all came out, because these people with 1 and 2 stripes had 2 or 3 cars, living in these nice houses in Italy, all kind of gold and diamonds on and all that kind of stuff. We know that they were 1 and 2 stripes and didn't make that kind of money. So once it was found out and the Navy started investigating and brought us in, that's how we ended up busting 80 people from lieutenant colonels all the way down to 1 stripers doing this. Wow. There was 2 murder investigations out of this, and it ended up in Times Magazine, as a matter of fact, you know, for that. So that's kind of how we went through. Going from there, though, I went to Army. I went over to the Army after that, and I was Army CID. Well, first I was Army Military Intelligence, and I was since I knew Turkish, I was an interrogator. It's an interrogation school, and I thought, you know what? By the way, in the National Guard, I was in the National Guard, and as soon as I joined, they called me up. And they sent me right back over to Iraq and Turkey. I was trying to get out of that shit, and they sent me right back. But I was interrogators. They taught us how to do interrogation stuff, you know, waterboarding and all the things that we do for interrogation. Taught me those techniques. So a lot of that action came in military intelligence. But from there, they knew I was an agent in the Air Force, and they made me a CID agent. And back to drugs, back to undercover, back to protective service. As a matter of fact, I traveled for a year with Donald Rumsfeld. I was on this protection team, right? About 37 years old, I said, you know, I had enough of this shit, because in Turkey, I had too many harrowing experiences where I almost got killed. And when we did have agents die, you know what they did? The next day, there was a replacement there. So I finally had a child. I'm like, you know what? If I was killed tomorrow, if I was killed today, somebody else would take my place tomorrow, but I can't be here for my kid. So I got out and I came back to the States. And guess what I did? I went to 2 job interviews, CIA and DIA, you know, because I wanted to be high speed. It was CIA and DIA. They both hired me, but the DIA offered me a higher job pay than the CIA did. So I had another buddy, he spoke Japanese. Me and him were in Turkey and Italy and all that together. He's a kung fu master. He ended up going CIA, disappeared for a while. He's retired too. But DIA, I joined what's called the Protective Service Division. So, of course, protection. You know, as a matter of fact, I was the deputy chief, the acting deputy chief, because the chief left. And so I became the acting deputy chief of this organization. And these were really the uniform guys. If you think about a uniform Secret Service, these are the uniform DIA guys. We do protection of diplomats. The DIA folks are diplomats. They go overseas, so we protect those guys. So that's what I was doing at DIA for a while. Protected, so we had SWAT teams, we had machine guns, and I was also the first national training director. So I trained in defensive tactics, of course, and in firearms. And I trained diplomats going overseas and that kind of stuff. And after a couple of years of that, I got tired and became a federal agent. I thought I'd tone things down a bit. I became a postal inspector, agent with the Postal Service. Didn't tone it down, because now we got bombings. This is right around when the anthrax was coming in, people putting anthrax into envelopes and all that, sending it around. We had lots of bombings going on and all that. So it's right back to high speed stuff, doing that. And undercover, Derek is always an undercover guy. I went to undercover school, and they're going to use me for undercover. And I loved it when I was younger, you know. So we did that. Did that for a while. Went to the Treasury Department as working with Secret Service guys. Matter of fact, I was kind of like internal affairs, investigating Secret Service guys when they do naughty things. When they travel, something that you all never hear about, and so on. So that's kind of been my career. You know, even now I have my private investigation firm, and I work as a reserve officer with the Maryland National Resources Police Department.
Thanks for watching our video lessons here at TRS Direct. Hit the like button down below and consider subscribing to our channel here on YouTube. Hit the bell icon and we'll send you a notification when there's a new lesson available. Thanks again for watching.